I will now introduce Lesson 40 from Ross, which introduces us to the minor stems. In addition to the 7 major stems learned from previous lessons, other verb stems are found in the biblical text. These stems most often involve a variation of one of the stems that you're already aware of. For example, you have a form called the polel and polal and hithpolel. And these serve as a functional equivalent of the pl, the pual, and the hithpael. Example would be the verb cum, to rise. It typically does not occur in the pl in Hebrew, but what will occur instead is this polel. What the polel ends up doing is being a functional equivalent of the pl. Instead of reduplicating the middle consonant of the root, which would be the vav, you reduplicate the final consonant of the root. So in a sense, this is a double stem, except you're not doubling the middle consonant, you're doubling the final consonant. And then the vowel pattern is OA for the perfect anyway, hence the name polel if you have Pa'al kind of as your paradigm. But anyway, komem is the perfect. And of course, that's going to be confusable with a participle of a geminant. If there were a kof mem mem, that would be the participial form as well. The imperfects, as with the pl, will have a preformative with a shava under it. Same thing with the participle. The infinitive construct, and notice that they've misspelled it by putting a medial mem instead of a final mem there, but otherwise that is the infinitive construct form of the polel, komem, just the same as the perfect. And so the polel then corresponds with the pl. The polal with an a vowel corresponds to the pual. And again, instead of doubling the middle consonant, you reduplicate the final consonant instead. And otherwise, that's pretty straightforward. The participle has a kamatz, which is often the case. Well, that would be the same with the pual participle. And the hithpolel is the form that's equivalent to the hithpael form of the pl. And there you see the perfect and the imperfect and the participle. Now, when polel and polal are inflected, it's impossible to distinguish them because the sere of the polal changes to a patah. So here you have komem, the polel, and komam, the polal. But then when you get third feminine singular, well, that sere reduces to shava, that patah reduces to shava, and you end up with the same form in those cases. And also in later forms, the sere becomes a patah. Most verbs in these stems are translated as fricatives, that is, causing the state denoted by the root. So kum means to rise. The polel would be to make something rise, to raise it. Mut means to die. Motate means to make something die, to kill it. Rum means to be high. Romaim means to make it high, to raise it. And then kun means to be established, but kumeim means to establish something or to prepare it. So it turns a stative into a transitive verb. Although the majority of the verbs that follow the polel pattern are hollow verbs or middle weak, some geminate verbs follow this pattern too. From Hanan, you can get the polel form Hunain. Hanan means to be gracious. A somewhat more rare pattern is the poel, poal, and hithpoel pattern. This is illustrated with the root shoresh, and the pattern in the imperfect. And again, there's just bits and pieces of these. These are pretty rare, so he doesn't give you a full paradigm. But the imperfect shoresh is the word for root, and ye shoresh basically takes that noun form and turns it into a verb, as peels would do, and you get a ye shoresh. It will take root, or can also mean, well, the peel means to root up. The poel is kind of the opposite, to take root. And then you can take the word shafat, to judge, and the me shufati is my adversary, my person who judges me, I guess would be sort of the sense of that. And then you get another one, slanderer, me pol shani, my slanderer, from basically takes the noun form lashon and turns it into a noun, or into a participle. But anyway, that's the poel. Pa'al, with the general attention to the I, plus a peepel, peepal, or another two rare stems. So you take the root kadad, and it'll follow the pilel pattern, where you get an I vowel, kov, and then a doubling of the dalet there in the between the vowel. Active would be pik der. Passive would be puk dar. And again, this is like a pl and a pual, but instead of doubling the middle consonant in the normal pattern, you reduplicate the middle consonant. So the root is pe, kof, dalet, but you're doubling the final consonant of the root. And you get the double stem by doing that. And he gives you a few examples. To wither is amal, but then it was withered is umlal, and it's a pual, perfect form of that root, from amal, to be weak. And then sha'anan means he is at rest, and again it's a palel pattern, the hataf patah because of the guttural. Again, taking the noun sha'anan to be at rest or at rest or ease, and turning it into a verbal form. And then there's yet another one, a pilpel form, where you will take a root like galal, and in this case, instead of doubling the middle consonant, you reduplicate the first consonant. So instead of getting two lameds, you get two gimels. And so Gilgal, he rolled. Hit Galel, he rolled himself. Kakel, he supported, or he will support, from cool, to contain, and to make something contain, to support it, is that particular form. And then you have the polpal form, which would be passive. Cool call, he was supported. And then there's an even rarer pi'al-al form, in which the last two consonants are repeated. So the root is pakad, but then you repeat the kof, you repeat the dalet, and you get a form like that. Again, you have the sahar to go around. It'll occur in the pi'al-lal, and it ends up being sahar-har, meaning it palpitates, related again to going around, making something go around. And you have another form that means to redden, which by the way is misspelled. That should be a kamatz under the resh. If you look it up in Job, you'll find that out. And then there's chamar to ferment. It also occurs in the pa'al-al type form, reduplicating the mem and the resh. There is the occasional quadrilateral root. That's a root that has four consonants rather than the typical three. And so you have shamol, which has to do with being on the left, and that's been turned into a verb. So there you get the sheen and the mem and the aleph and the lamed. And so that's, again, an example of that. Then there is what is called the cow passive. Grammarians have observed that some biblical verbs vocalized by the Masoretes as pu'al or hafals may actually be cow passive forms. And their reasoning for concluding this is as follows. One, such verbs, no alteration in the basic meaning of the root occurs that accords with the true pu'al or hafal meaning. And two, the forms look like a pu'al in the perfect and a hafal in the imperfect. And lamed in lakah assimilates as it does only in the cow. The participle does not have a prefix mem. And so here he gives you some forms. Usheti, I was made. And it looks like it's just the passive of the cow. And vai tukach, and she was taken, from lakah to take, assimilating the lamed. And so there are certain forms that look like they're probably cow passives, even though they look like pu'als or hafals. I'll finish this discussion of the minor stems in the next video.